What are modals of obligation? Modals of obligation express what someone is required, expected, or advised to do. Let's look at the most common ones. Present obligation. We use has or have to plus infinitive to talk about an obligation that exists because of a decision made by another person. Look at these examples. I have to stop eating so much sugar. She has to finish the report before tomorrow. We use must plus infinitive to talk about an obligation that we think is necessary. Take a look at these examples. I must send this invitation today. Children must spend more time doing sports. We use don't have to or don't need to plus infinitive to say there is no obligation. Check out this example. You don't have to exercise every day, usually 3 times a week is fine. We use must plus infinitive to say that something is not permitted. For example, you must copy material from the internet for your end-of-term paper. We use should plus infinitive to talk about mild obligation. This is advice rather than a strong obligation. For example, he should speak to his tutor if he has a problem. We use need to plus infinitive to say something is necessary. For example, he needs to give his work in by the end of the day. We use can plus infinitive to say something is possible. For example, he can leave now if he wants. Past obligation. We use had to plus infinitive to talk about an obligation in the past. This is the past form of both have to and must. For example, I had to stay up late last night to prepare for the meeting. We use didn't have to plus infinitive to say there was no past obligation. For example, we didn't have to give back the question paper after the test. Future obligation. We use will have to plus infinitive to talk about future obligation. For example, the company will have to reduce their costs next year. We use won't have to plus infinitive to say there is no future obligation. For example, science students won't have to attend the language class. Other expressions of obligation. There are other ways of expressing obligation that might be tested. Here are some common phrases. 1. Make something possible. For example, the large donation made the new health center possible. 2. Permit. For example, scientists were not permitted to work on the new cure. 3. Be necessary. For example, it became necessary to change the way people ate. 4. Be prohibited. For example, traveling without a vaccination is prohibited. Here are some practical IELTS application for modals of obligation. Take a look at this writing task 2 example. Some people believe that students must study science, while others argue they should choose what they want. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Model sentences using modals. Governments must invest in science education to stay competitive. However, individuals ought to have the freedom to pursue their passions. In the future, students will have to adapt to the demands of a tech-driven economy. Speaking Part 3 Sample. Do you think people should be required to recycle? Modal answer. Yes, I believe people have to recycle because it's part of our responsibility as global citizens. In some cities, residents must separate their waste, which is an effective way to manage pollution. Ideally, we ought to educate children about this early on. Now it's your turn. Try this grammar quiz. Choose the correct modal of obligation. Pause the video if you need more time. Are you ready? Let's go. Great job! Let me know your score in the comments below. Quick tips for IELTS success with modal subobligation. Use must for strong opinions in writing task 2. Use have to or had to for facts and experiences in speaking. Avoid have got to, it's too informal for IELTS writing. Balance strong and soft modals to show flexibility in thought. Now you are fully equipped on the modal subobligation. If you found this lesson helpful, give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos. Check out my other videos in this playlist and in the description below. See you on the next video.